The Star Wars Battlefront name carries a massive reputation around it. The original released on the PS2 and sold over 1.1 million copies in 2004. It ranked in the top 10 most sold games of that year, alongside classics like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and Spider-Man 2. Its main appeal is that it took a boots-on-the-ground third-person shooter and mashed it with Star Wars. It sounds, looks, and feels like you're someone on the front lines in this universe.
Hot-ass room I'm in. Is that the Grim Reaper?
The one game mode that encapsulates this feeling is the original Battlefront II campaign. You play as a 501st clone trooper from the start of the Clone Wars all the way up to the golden years of the Empire. The story is told like a diary, with each mission being its own entry. It feels like a veteran recounting their war stories at the campfire, and everyone's like, oh my god, oh my grandpappy really shot that guy.
It was a silent trip. We all knew what was about to happen, what we're about to do. Did we have any doubts? Any private, traitorous thoughts? Perhaps, but no one said a word. Not on the flight to Coruscant, not when Order 66 came down, and not when we marched into the Jedi Temple. Not a word.
It's crazy that the team at
Pandemic
made a top 5 campaign with cutscenes that are essentially machinimas. For the unks out there, leave a comment if you know what I mean by that. I'm not going to explain it any further. If you know, you know. You a real one. Represent. Shout out to the writing team and to Tamura Morrison. They absolutely killed that. That shit dope. Memorable moments and highlights that I still stuck in my head. That shit's awesome. Fast forward over a decade later to April 15th, 2017, and EA released the first trailer to the Battlefront II successor. Surprisingly, over half of the video's runtime is dedicated to showing off their campaign. It really caught fans' attention because it heavily implied playing as an Imperial in a darker, more story. Fast forward 3 months later, and another trailer drops, and it confirms people's theories. The main character, Iden Versio, is an Imperial commander of the Special Forces unit, Team Inferno.
The idea of the Imperial perspective is you never really understand who they are as people, right? How the organization works. How can we distill that and how can we make a story around that?
So they had people hooked. They had a blueprint of what worked in 04 and AAA funding. I mean, that's a huge leg up than a lot of other games. On paper, it should be a slam dunk, a home run, a strike, a golazo. I don't see how anything could go wrong here.
What is this shit? What's going on? Why don't they like it? We spent $250 million on this.
We've got droids!
Unreleased, the online consensus was that the campaign was pretty mediocre. Instead of getting a unique Imperial story, we got a cookie-cutter redemption arc of the bad guys turning good. It was a very safe narrative with bland characters and little substance. The usual corporate slop. The notoriety of the campaign came from the ability to put yourself in the shoes of an Imperial. That's what was marketed towards us, and what got people excited. Instead, the story quickly throws that idea away, stripping the campaign of the one thing that made it stand out. And technically, they didn't lie to us. We got 3 whole missions as an Imperial before turning to the good side. And that's what, like, 25% of the campaign? So, I mean, listen to the exact words they used to pitch this to us.
The idea of the Imperial perspective is you never really understand who they are as people, right? How the organization works. How can we distill that and how can we make a story around that? What's really exciting about this story is that we're going to see it from the point of view of a character like Iden. So we're going to see it from this Imperial point of view.
On the mission, The Storm, Iden learns that Operation Cinder is planning to destroy her homeworld of Vardos, a loyal Imperial world that has done nothing but support the Empire. This moment is her breaking point. She pushes back against the Order and defects with her boy toy Del. So what past events led Iden to her decision? Who the f knows? She isn't given a backstory. Up to this point, we know nothing about her relationship to the Empire, to Vardos, or to even Inferno Squad. Why is Vardos so special to her? Why did she join the Empire? What's her relationship with her father like? Like, if you're going to introduce these topics, I feel like these are surface level questions to at least answer or explore a tiny bit. They could have at least exposition dumped on the loading screen or something. You know, it's crazy because we get more of her backstory in the trailer than in the actual game.
A tried and true Imperial. She's somebody who grew up on a planet called Vardos. She was very quickly put into a military camp for children. She has spent her whole life building up to this moment to be commander of Inferno Squad. One of the things that we wanted to make sure we captured is the dynamic between Garrick Versio and his daughter Iden Versio. This is the catalyst for Iden, where she learns the future of the Empire and she's elevated to a point by her father.
Another part of the issue is that we don't spend nearly enough time as the bad guys to make the switch feel meaningful. 6-7. I don't think I'm asking for a lot here. It doesn't have to be Red Dead 2 levels of storytelling and immersive experience, but, you know, just a crumb of backstory would have been nice. You know, the things that make me care about your character, your story, your journey, the whole thing, the whole shebang. And without all that, it just feels like a big rigmarole.
You've done a lot of damage to this alliance.
Yes, we have, ma'am. And there's no excuse for it. It's taken us too long to realize that we were fighting for the wrong side.
Droid, slice the door.
You really trust us to fight beside you?
What can I say? I'm a big believer in second chances.
So after playing this, I wanted to make this video and give my opinion because I know everyone's been waiting for it. Everyone's like, what's Jason got to say about this? You know, like, oh my God, what's he gonna say? When is he gonna make the video? When is he dropping? And I'm like, guys, relax. Don't worry, it's here. Here is my consensus, my opinion on the game, my analysis. The campaign is not very good. I had to make it known. To be candid, it's very unfortunate that this is the product we got because I think it had potential to do something really cool. The bones of an interesting premise are there, but there isn't enough meat to chew on to make it worth exploring. Revolving the story around the Special Forces units is a fresh concept that we haven't seen since like Republic Commando. It would have been interesting to dive deeper into that team dynamic, like how Imperial hierarchy shifts authority. How do the members deal with the duty as an Imperial versus their personal moral code? How much does nepotism play into Iden's career? I'm not saying they needed to tackle these exact ideas, but this is just an example of things they could have touched on or talked about. Because from where it stands now, the story needed to take some risks and it never did. So there's never enough tension for anything to feel meaningful. We're just moseying around, vibing out until we get to final credits. And it ends up feeling way too safe and generic to leave a lasting impression. There is a lack of narrative depth that keeps the story predictable. It expects you to turn off your brain and just shoot people like blah, 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 and expects you not to like interact with the story or think about it. And as someone who likes to think about the story, you know, I like have a brain, it's very insulting. So I wanted something a little more deeper, you know? And I get there's a time and place for that, and some people are just like, you know, I want to shoot people, that's cool too. Playing the villain is fun because it's taboo. You get the freedom to act on impulse and play by your own rules. Like, the asshole in the corner of my mind is like, trying to be evil. And instead of putting me down, I gotta put someone else down. The hero, on the other hand, has to be moral, responsible, and likable, and blah, 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 blah. And sometimes that can be boring. It's fun to be like, you know what? You and those kids. What makes a villain stand out is their set of principles. They aren't just chaotic evil for no reason. There's a twisted worldview underneath all that aura farming.
It's time to show the world what we've done.
Otto, the neural web isn't isolating your motor neurons. It could be affecting other parts of your brain, your inhibitions, your mood. I just think we need some more tests.
We've got enough tests! For the first time in my life, I don't feel like a failure. I feel like me.
What's missing from Iden Versio is that there is no real attempt to humanize her. It feels like she's LARPing as an Imperial before switching to the Rebels in like a moment's notice. She is the commander of a special forces unit. You don't get to be in her position without doing some shady work for the Empire. Maybe I'm just hating, but I'm not buying it when one moment she's, whoa, Team Empire! And then the other moment she's like, wait, the Empire is evil? Oh my god, I can't believe it! Oh, what? Like, I'm not an idiot. What are we doing here, man? I'm really conflicted because while playing the campaign, I never got the impression that DICE was incompetent. There's an immense level of detail to the presentation. The cutscenes are breathtaking. Sound design is orgasmic in my ears. Oh, and the world feels full of life. There are genuinely some powerful moments that caught me off guard. I know I was just ragging on Aiden, but occasionally, you know, she has her moments. During the mission, Under Covered Skies, she and Del are on their way to Bespin and have this short little interaction.
Wow, take a look at all these Beldons.
I think it's cute you study a planet's wildlife before we visit.
Hey, if they make the Tabana gas the Empire needs, then Beldons are mission critical.
If you say so.
I was actually curious about what happens afterwards when the war's over.
Honestly, I haven't really thought about it. A life of Imperial training isn't worth much in the civilian sector. What about you?
I thought I might travel. See the galaxy, Lothal, my capo.
You've been to those places.
As a soldier, I want to see them when they're free.
That actually sounds really nice.
In the grand scheme of the story, it's a trivial conversation. But it makes them feel like real people. It's a casual interaction that gives them some personality. I would have loved to see more of this. It would make them getting together at the end feel like something, instead of the hollow emptiness it ensued upon me when I finished this beautiful campaign. I have my theory and why we don't have more moments like this, but we can get into that later. For now, let's stick to the cool stuff that I did like. Unironically, my favorite character of the campaign is Shriv. Woo woo! You don't recognize him? Guys, come on boys. He belongs in the top 5 characters of all time, baby.
If I die here, I'm glad you will too.
Well, thank you, buddy.
Another highlight is on the mission Dauntless. We play as Luke, who saves Del for some bugs or something, then proceeds to drop some of the hardest lines in the entire campaign.
So what happens now? We both walk off in separate directions and pretend like this never happened.
I don't think you can. There's still conflict in you.
Of course there's conflict in me. I'm not blind. I know what the Empire is capable of, but what else is there?
A choice?
The rebellion?
No. A choice to be better. May the Force be with you.
Also, I know it's low-hanging nostalgia bait, but hearing the Pit of Carcoon had me grinning like an idiot. I can't even front. It was hype as hell. I hear that. I was like, ah, my God, look! Oh my God, for episode 6 when he's on the Pit of Carcoon. While researching for this video, I noticed no one online really mentioned the score, and I get it because it's John Williams, the GOAT. But whoever picked out what songs to use, you know ball. Choosing to use the Trade Federation theme on the droid level, or the Escape from Naboo theme during Leia's mission, nice accents. I wish they sprinkled in a couple more prequel tracks, like, you know, Across the Stars, but you know, that's okay, you know. I'm sure that'll happen in Battlefront 3. It's kind of a cop-out, but my biggest praise of the game is that it looks and sounds amazing. I know this extends beyond just the campaign, but I feel like I had to mention it. The game itself is so gorgeous. Not just graphically, but the attention to detail in each and every area is insane. Something not talked about enough is the lighting. It makes such a huge difference to make every moment feel cinematic. When set pieces or cutscenes are on screen, it genuinely feels like a movie. One of my favorite moments is during the Battle of Jakku, where you climb an Imperial destroyer while fighting off stormtroopers, and there's a golden sunset just shining in your face. I know it sounds a little hokey, but there's a magic there that DICE tapped into. It feels like stepping into the OG Battlefront that 12-year-old me thought I was playing. Like, the overall presentation helps the viewer immerse themselves in the story. It makes it feel like Star Wars. And I know that's such a blanket statement, but it really does feel like that. I'm not even a graphics guy, but it's kind of crazy what a AAA budget can do. There's no other game that comes closest to having me feel like a Star Wars boots on the ground soldier. It feels like the developers at DICE genuinely try to make something special. It's a shame those moments are too few and far, lost in a mediocre experience. Okay, that's enough praising. Let's get back to bitching. My theory for the lackluster story is corporate meddling. We all remember the microtransaction controversy that plagued Battlefront 2's launch. While those predatory consumer practices didn't directly affect the campaign, it would be naive to think this corporate mentality didn't also bleed into the campaign's development. Historically, publishers have held a lot of influence over development and will push for changes that they think will help a game sell better. The biggest indicator is that the original trilogy characters are shoved into the story. EA knows that throwing in familiar faces is an easy way to get people invested, because they are such a big part of Star Wars' identity. Aside from Luke's mission, you could remove Han, Lando, and Leia's sections entirely, and almost nothing about the story would change. While playing, it really felt like the campaign was constantly jumping around as a cheap way to keep players engaged. Unfortunately, these sections end up sidelining Iden in her own campaign, and because Iden is such a bland character, the legacy characters end up completely overshadowing her. Putting on my tinfoil hat for a moment, but I suspect DICE originally had a more serious story in mind before EA pushed for something safer and more marketable later in production. And honestly, I think that pressure may have come from even higher up the chain. Disney is notoriously protective of the Star Wars brand, and while EA did oversee DICE, they were still just licensing the IP. At the end of the day, Disney had the final say on what could and couldn't be done. They often fall back on what's worked before. I won't say they've never taken risks. As much cheeks as Acolyte is, I'll give credit where it's due. It at least tried to explore a different corner of Star Wars. Why not just do KOTOR? I don't know. It's not a surprise that the best Star Wars project of the Disney era is Andor. It doesn't rely on legacy characters until the powerful narrative. It's a great example of what the franchise can achieve when the wretched corporate ghouls don't stick their fingers into the pie. This play it safe mentality is why we get such a generic narrative in Battlefront 2. Rather than fully committing to the Imperial perspective, it defaults back to the Empire being cartoonishly evil and the Rebels being undeniably good. It's a story that audiences have already seen 1,000 times. And the reason for this has always been greed. Overall score is 6 out of 10. In my opinion, they should have scrapped the campaign, supremacy, heroes versus villains, and just gave us Galactic Conquest 2. Everyone would have been happy with that. Hey, if you made it this far in the video, I want to say thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. If you want to support me, I do have a Patreon where for $1 you get videos 1 week early before being released on YouTube. And that's it for me. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.